I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I am here on a Sunday morning, chilling with y'all. Whoever decides to me, thank you in advance. If you are watching this on the replay, thank you as well. Shout out to you for being here. I am grateful for your participants. I want to start off by reading what is in the thumbnail to this video. Let me just pull it up for you because that might be helpful. No, I don't want to download anything. Cancel. Why is it doing that? I swear I know how to use a computer, but sometimes it seems like I might not. Okay, so here's the thumbnail to today's video. Today's live stream. Use this as a thumbnail because I wanted to use it as a reminder of the theme of what I'm going discussing. I'm going to react to Ostefko's video, Soul Ties, Canceled Flights, and Lusty Emails. I mean, when a hit dog hollers, I was a hit dog watching that. And so it compelled me to do a reaction vid, which some of you may have seen because I did post it, but I private it a few hours after I posted it because I wasn't happy with the quality, and the hits that I made with did not stick, and it kind of abruptly, and I didn't like that. So I made it private so that I could come back and talk through the react video that I did. And so this is the thumbnail for today's stream. Oops. Working harder doesn't work. Trying to get them back doesn't work. Only time can heal those types of wounds. Time, change behavior, tolerating the changed them with a lot of understanding as to why they're going to act this way to you for a while. Most people will be able to handle it, so that's why forgive by this point is rare. And the relationships just come to their eventual end because once the damage is done, there's no undoing. The topic is self-awareness and growth in a broad sense. But this thumbnail is resonant for me because I am the epitome of, well, you just have to work harder. Well, you just got to try. And sometimes it's not about that. So sometimes time that it takes to heal a wound is really what is necessary. And unfortunately, there's no way on that. And a lot of times you are trying to cannot done because the damage has already been done. 2024, even though I named the year after myself and called it 2024, I know at the beginning of the year when I named the year that it was going to be such a tumultuous and trying year for me. I didn't realize that what I was speaking into existence was calling myself on the carpet in order to push myself further into going and becoming the better version of me. It's in that I always want for sure, but it's definitely not what I thought was going to be on bingo card. I thought I was going to, level up. I thought I was going to be in a better position than I had been. Without realizing that sometimes that better position comes at the cost of losing everything that you know and letting go of everything you thought you knew. So a lot of this year has been about healing those wounds of letting go and even challenging the weakness that I have not had to let some things that I needed to let go of. So you'll talk about that in my review of Steph Cole's video. I'm a forgiving person for sure, but just because I am doesn't mean that you are. And part of the letting go is understanding that whatever damage has been done, you've got to let go of what once was in order to understand that it can no longer be. And a lot of that has been theme for the year too. So like it says, there is no undoing. The damage is just done. So where I'm at. I'm attempting to be more. What's going on here? My cursor is not okay. Let me stop sharing. That's why, because my phone on the. That's why. Okay, sorry. I have my phone on my laptop right over the mouse board, and that's why I was doing that. Oopsies. Okay, so let me go back to sharing this tab. Shout out to Truism the Storm Crow for inspiring the title today, which is Consistence plus Persistence. Well, Outdistance, all resistance. I heard him say it last night on his show, and I made a note of it. I really enjoy his brand of live streaming. So shout out Truism the Storm Crow. If you're not following him, stop what you're doing and go do that. He is linked in my description, so you should be able to pull up his channel if you go to the description of this live stream and hit subscribe. Also, shout out to Ostefco for doing what she does really well as a content creator, making relatable content that those of us in the same age cohort probably can relate to. She and I have quite a bit in common, and I came to see that with her most recent, not her most recent live stream. I actually want to get into most recent video as well, where she titled it "I'm not girly, not yet an auntie." I read that title. So as soon as I read it, I sang it in Britney Spears' voice. But I feel the same way. I'm not a girly, yet I'm not an auntie. Even though people have been calling me auntie for a very long time, it was kind of a nickname from some of my college buds. I don't feel like I'm in auntie status. Well, namely because I don't have any siblings, so there are no children for me to be auntie to. But also because I think it's a stance in Black female culture that comes with a bit of high praise, right? If you are an auntie, that comes with responsibility and wisdom that I think the year has given me some of, but I'm not quite there yet. So anyway, you are not going to see me. This is me doing a video of me viewing a video of Steph. So that's why you don't see the circle move. Hold on just a second. So sorry about that. There was a knock door and I had to answer. So back to the video. The video. So I'm gonna do a reaction to this video. As we bring 2024 to a close, we are now less than 2 months away from the new year. I felt compelled to be a little bit more vulnerable with this one. I recently watched a video from Ostefco, link in the description, titled Soul Ties, Canceled Flights, and Lusty Emails, the true story of my love life in 2024. And shout out to Mr. Z for putting me on to Ostefco as a content creator, because for as much as I may have been critical of her in the past, we have quite a bit in common. And this video really highlighted that for me. And it made me want to not only make a reaction video to it, but also to um, expose some things about myself that I have recently been up against. And so, I thought to myself, I've been pretty open about my life and things that I've been up to on YouTube, and I don't feel any regrets for that. But I feel like I can even push the envelope even further with being more specific about some of the things that happened for me in 2024. And I'm saying this with a smirk because I named it 2024 at the beginning of the year because I was so hopeful and optimistic about all of the transformations that I was set to experience. And I really looked forward to life looking a lot differently than it does today. But nevertheless, grateful. So I am done um, introing this, and I'm gonna get to the video now. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna stop it in between just certain points that stood out for me and tell you why. But I'm also going to, beyond anecdotal, I will also talk about specifically just the ways the ways 2024 um, panned out for me, and kind of kissed the year goodbye, honestly. So yeah, she really inspired this. So thank you, Ostefco, and thank you to whomever is listening and watching, hitting the like button, so on and so forth. I appreciate it. My tagline under my name, Misconstrue, is a nod to the previous stream I did. Y'all just continue to disappoint me with grammar, but it's okay. That's not what we're here to talk about.
And welcome to my channel. So you probably saw me in another video wearing this exact same outfit in a different corner of the house. And now I have moved this little microphone. I'm still trying to figure out the best place to be. I want a place that gives me good natural light, like good even natural light. Where I was sitting before, I have so many shadows. And at the same time, I want to be able to have kind of a little mise en scène here pretty soon. A lot of things are going to change in what you see here. But for right now, this is the view that you're getting. I think it's a little bit better. I like the lighting better in this corner of the house. And so here's where I'm going to be for this video. You saw the title. You know that this video is going to be talking about my love life and what it's been like in the year 2024. Now, I know that I have sworn up and down never to talk about it because it's never good news. As a creator, I am so not jealous, but just kind of like rats when I think about the fact that creators that have a very satisfying journey for their audience members are creators whose lives seem to progress in some way. So let's say they started watching them when the creator was living in and I guess my life has progressed. You guys have seen a lot of different backgrounds. There's new dogs.
Want to break into cybersecurity but don't have experience? The Google Cybersecurity Certificate uses.
And now I've been on the internet for about 3 years, almost 4. Now, 3 years, almost 4 years later, you see them on red carpets and you see them doing streaming with your favorite movie stars, and they're now a bona fide celebrity in their own right. And you've been there for the beginning of the journey. It's extremely satisfying. And in my situation, let's say you have a creator, they start off and they're like, I don't, I struggle when it comes to romantic life. I don't know if I'll ever become a mom. I don't think so. And it's something I would like to do, but I don't think it's in the cards for me. I'm struggling, with career to know whether I'm in the right place. Can you imagine if 3 years later you were looking at me and I was like, okay, guys, pretty soon I have to go feed the baby, but I just wanted to stop in and tell you all about what we did today, getting ready for the holidays. It was so exciting. So it's our first, like, I could just launch into a whole kind of maladaptive daydream about a different road that I could have taken had it been offered to me as a person. But unfortunately for me, 3 years later on the internet, the wigs have gotten better. The fake eyelashes and the thick eyebrows with the weird white line underneath them are gone. But that's about the only progress that you're going to see. My personal life has not had a lick of progress. In fact, in some ways, it's taken a steep decline.
I'm wild for stopping it right there, but I didn't want her to go any further before I address some of what she already said. I'm cracking up because of how she just roasted herself. And it's funny how some things stand out to others but not to yourself. And so listening to her roast herself about some of the same things that I was recognizing, and I'm sure other people who were watching recognize too, it's just interesting how that's part of the self-awareness experience. Something that you think works really well for you, and that you do religiously, because she'll talk about not wanting to do makeup before she gets on camera anymore too. It's relatable, and it is sweater weather in New Jersey, so I'm wearing my sweater, you guys. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about how she was talking about her setup, and she likes how the lighting is, so on and so forth. But also relatable, something I miss having in terms of a setup of a desk and my Latoya light and my microphone just where I need it to be, and just having all the space to be able to do that. And then, like she said, having good lighting. It's so important because I probably look crazy to somebody right now just because there's a light right in front of me, but there's also light coming from this side. But it is what it is. We making it do what it do. And soon I'll have a new setup and all that good stuff. But yeah, like a lot of what she said already is so relatable. And from she and I both being 40 and only children and single and not sure about what's going on with our careers, and being on YouTube. But I mean, she obviously has way more subscribers than I do, but it's a testament to how open she's been as a content creator and the kind of content that she creates being so resonant amongst so many of us, right? I can only hope to get there someday. But yeah, I just wanted to stop right there before she went further and talked about, like, even when she said the wigs have gotten better, I still think she needs to ditch the wigs. But if that's what makes her feel good, that's really all that matters.
From horrible fertility news to changing cities to a place where I don't get out as much. Or I don't get out at all, really. So it's very, very unlikely that I'll meet somebody just in passing or by chance. To experiencing what I experienced this year which was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before, which was a man that came into my life and despite not offering me a single thing, would not let me go. I told my patrons I wasn't going to talk about this on my main channel, but I do feel that there is some merit in this story. I do feel that there are some things that can be learned, and it's going to be for a specific population of people. So anybody, first of all, that has ever felt something that they would refer to as a soul tie. I didn't think that those were real. I thought that people were being dramatic. I'm very skeptical when it comes to that kind of thing because it can so quickly lead to people becoming obsessive about the person that they want. And I have been at that point before in my life where I did believe in stuff like that, and it wasn't healthy for me. However, I do think that sometimes you can be extremely spiritually connected to somebody. Y'all can be on each other's mind. The energy is definitely there between the two of you. And no matter how far apart you are from each other, you are, y'all are focused. You're focused.
Okay, I'm stopping it here because I would actually say that while I don't think I've ever experienced a quote unquote soul tie, I definitely think there's some credence to that. Specifically what she was about having a connect with somebody that no matter how far apart you are, you guys are on the same page with one another. There's definitely something that I have experienced and can attest to just by virtue of being with someone. And I'll talk a little bit about my ex later on in this, but we definitely had that kind of connection, and I think we still do to a certain extent, but it has been changed because of the fact that both he and I have moved on. Although we remain friends, the connection remains, but just not in the same way that it once did. I wish that on everybody. I wish everybody could have the experience of being so in love with somebody that they just get you and you get each other, and even when you are around each other, you guys can pick up on each other's energy and what you might need in the moment. That's a beautiful thing to experience.
Because you're locked in on each other for however long as it takes for you guys to figure out what you want to do. And so I found an article where it was talking about the experience of a soul tie. That's the only way I can really explain this situation, because it wasn't a normal. I've met a lot of people like this. In fact, this person was a typical person that has crossed my path before, but nothing like this has ever happened. The connection had never been like this before. It had never been this hard to walk away from something that was so detrimental. And so I looked up an article on soul ties and what they might be. And this definition here in particular really stuck with me. And I was like, oh wow, that is what I've been experiencing. That's it. That's how it's felt. It has felt like this cord that was in between me and this person, and it was so hard to cut it. Blocking didn't work. Making promises to myself that I would never speak to him. I changed my number twice. Well, the first time I changed it, it was because
Buy your Consistence Black Friday's here. Don't miss out on exclusive deals and book your dream here.
like 3-4 days
Here. Don't miss out on exclusive deals and book.
accidentally posted it in one of my Blogmas vlogs from last year. My dog had a chain on and it said my name and it said my number, and I posted it and I was like, oh my God, the internet is crazy. Somebody could the vlog had been posted for like 3-4 days before I realized what happened. So I think I might have been safe, but I wanted to be sure. So went and I got a new number. I'd had that number for like 7 years at that point. So, I went and I changed it. I let people know I was changing it. The second time I changed it though, 90% of it was because I needed to break. I needed to not, I could not stop contacting him, like, and vice versa. Like it was, I have never, and also because I got a very generic number when I changed it and I kept getting robocalls. I had like 30 robocalls a day, and now I get none. Now I get none. I don't get a single robocall. But for months, let's see, I had the first new number from December to August of this year. Every day I'm silencing call on call on call. And now nothing. I don't get anything. The only time I get a robocall is if I have a bill that's late or something and somebody's calling from like an unknown number to find out what's going on. And then I know who the company is. So I just sign on and pay the bill. But yeah, so that's nice. But it was really about, I didn't want that man to have contact with me. Only for him to reach me by no, only for me. Y'all, we were so ridiculous for months. When I say we both used to be like, I don't want to talk to you. Well, I don't want to talk to you. Who needs you? I don't. And we wouldn't talk to each other for, I want to say 2 or 3 days. And then I might check my email because he had all my emails. I'd check my email and I'd see, I miss you. And if I didn't see that, then I'd be sending him something. Hey, I had never been involved in nothing like this before. But the most frustrating thing was it was this beautiful connection. It was this powerful connection, but it didn't go anywhere. We were just stuck for an entire year. It was like running on a hamster wheel. That's why I don't know if you've noticed, but this year specifically, I've done more dating is horrible kind of content. Last year, I sort of stayed away from it and focused on, I don't know what the hell I was talking about in 2023 on it. To be real with you, I don't know what I was talking about. But this year, I've tried to be hopeful. I talked about how maybe dating apps weren't so bad. I think it just depends on the person. Honestly, when it comes to dating apps, your experience is your experience. I talked about how modern dating isn't hard for everybody, and that's part of the problem. I talked about how I was never going to date in my 40s. A lot of my energy has been focused on this because I was involved in this thing with this person for 13 months, over a year, just this emotional tug of war. And it recently came to a final end. And I think the reason why it came to an end, there's a lot that can be learned from that, especially for people in my position who are middle-aged individuals in the last years of their fertility who don't meet that many people. And also anyone who in general is used to not meeting people who really matter to them. That's what romantically speaking. Like there's some people out there who go from serious relationship to marriage. Their life is filled with these full and powerful, good connections. But I know for me, a huge part of my dating life has always been, I'm going to settle for whoever's interested. Because if I try and be intentional and go after who I want, they never want me back. And so I'm going to just, oh, this is the guy here. Okay, he's interested. All right.
As much as you might not want to believe me, I can totally relate to that. I can totally relate to having the hots for someone who couldn't tell me from a can of paint. Like more often than not. And so it kind of makes you not want to participate at all. Like, I'll be honest. It makes me like, you know what? I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to go to work and come home. Because that seems like a better option. Seems like the better thing to do than to put myself out there. And while I can't say that I can relate to being in a situationship for the past year, I wasn't in anything like that. One thing I can say on the relationship front is that when I moved back to New Jersey, I was already in this process of letting things go and being forced to let things go, right? But even with that, I think that there was a reason why I wasn't finding work in Texas that was bigger than I needed to leave Texas. It was more of, no, you need to be still because what you're about to experience is going to require you to have to go through the full range of emotions in order for you to not only acknowledge it, but to overcome it and heal from it. And, when she was talking about how she had gotten into this situationship and that, you know, it reflected in how she was in what content she was creating. It made me think about how this coming home and continuing in this process of letting things go and losing things and losing people was an underlying theme of most of the content I've created this year. But I never really got to it.
All right. And I'm usually not attracted to him. And I usually have to force myself to feel something, which is kind of like love bombing myself. Come on, girl, you really want this man. And I end up in the most dramatic and upsetting situations with men who look like they negotiated their way onto earth. And that has been the story of my life, the story of my heart for 40 years. And then last year, I met this individual, and the first thing that stuck out to me about him was that I was actually physically attracted to him. And then the second thing was that it was mutual. And I met him when I went on a little solo trip. And I used to have this policy when it came to solo travel or when it came to travel in general. What happens on the trip stays on the trip. So I might be open to some activity that I might not be consistently receiving at home. Translation, it was nothing for me to, provided the situation was right, the vibe was right, whatever. It was nothing for me to engage in some casual fun, casual physical fun in my life when I have traveled. And that goes back all the way to when I first studied abroad back in college. Even if it's just flirting with someone, making out, holding hands, I know that when I get back home to where I live, that vibe is not going to be there. It's going to be very dry. I'm not going to know where to go to meet people. that back in the day, we didn't even have online dating, so I didn't know what to do. And so for some reason, when I was away, when I was traveling, it would open the door for me to be looked at differently, me to there would be something in the air. It was weird. I remember when I went to Chicago for the first time and I was like, am I attractive? What's going on? What is happening? It was just a really weird experience, and it kind of only happens when I go out of town. When I am at home, it is not the case. And I also think when I met him, I had been in Austin for a little while. Austin's a different vibe. I like it, but it's definitely not Houston, where I had been for the 3 previous years. And honestly, in Houston, the best way I can describe my years there is sausage party. People will definitely try and throw something at you. They definitely are interested, but it's kind of only a one-way street. They're sort of only interested in one thing. Nothing goes anywhere. And that was very frustrating for me. And that was my experience. That's not everybody's experience. Some people go to Houston and they meet their man, they meet their woman like this. There's a girl right now who has a video on YouTube that's like, I found my dream job and my husband within 3 months of being in Houston. That was not my experience. And when I was there,
Spoiler alert, it wasn't my experience either. I had to stop it right there and say that because, as you all know, that was not my experience in Dallas. Although we were in Texas, that was not my experience in Dallas. But yeah. So again, something else she and I relate on. Um, but yeah, you know, it's been crickets for me. It wasn't that I wasn't getting hit on in Dallas. It wasn't that, and it wasn't that I didn't get asked out on dates. It was just the caliber of man that was asking me out on dates didn't always align with who I am. And even if it didn't, sometimes I would still go, but end up being disappointed. And so, it kind of makes you not even want to put yourself out there, to be honest. And so I'm stopping it right to talk about, do y'all remember when I told you about the date I went on, the guy, one of my co-workers hooked me up with? He was a little older. Like, even the picture I posted of us, y'all all said that he was giving dad vibes. Like they looked like he was my dad. So yeah, I I gave people a chance. Not physically he was a good looking guy, but he wasn't physically somebody I would be like, oh my gosh, I need to see him. I need to go out with him. Like I can't go out with him. He wasn't that for me. But the date, we actually really went 2 dates. The first date we went on, I'm lying, we went on 3 dates. The first date we went on was when we initially met, because prior to that, we just had each other's phone numbers and we talked on the phone. Conversation cool. When we met, it felt very platonic, right? So the second we went on, I had to choose. Well, actually, I think I chose the first place we went to and the second one too. The second place we went to was one of my favorite restaurants in Dallas, and that was a much more enjoyable time. However, it was what solidified that there was no sexual attraction or romantic energy between the two of us. The third day went on was more of a I have to because we talked about doing this, which was his choice to go bowling, which was because it was him in an arena where he excelled. He's good at bowling. He showed that off. I'm always happy to go bowling. I'm horrible, but I like doing it. It's fun for me. So it was like a nice way for him to have the upper hand. But still, weirdly enough, the end of the day, he goes to walk me to my car. But in true Toya fashion, I forgot where I parked. So like we were walking towards the direction I thought my car was in, and it wasn't. And so then I felt bad because I'm in better shape this, and so the walk was a little. It wasn't a long walk. It was not like, oh, I can see her when I walk outside. And so by the time we realized that we're going in the wrong direction, I was like, I'm sorry. I may walk all this way just so you can walk me to my car, which I think probably came across like, I don't want you to see where I parked, and I want you to see my car, which wasn't the case. But I'm pretty sure that that's how it came across. We never spoke again after that. but yeah, so that was like that's just one example of the experiences I had in dating was in Dallas. So yeah. I'm never against giving somebody a try just if they don't fit the description, so to speak. But at the same time, um, when you do that, at times it shows you why you weren't attracted to that person. Like energetically, it just wasn't a match. He's a cool guy. Seemed like a great dad. Um, seemed like a great dad too, because I think one of his kids had kids. Um, an attractive man, but kind of on the rotund side, also kind of short. I think I was about 2 inches taller than him. Again, neither of these are breakers. It's just when you couple them with the fact that there is no romantic spark, there's no reason to go any further. For a while, I became a recluse. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I know I talked a lot about the whole looking for a job thing being the focus of why I wasn't necessarily in the best place, but it was more than just that. It was also, you know, exactly what she's talking about. Having that sense of longing and wanting to be with someone, and also just having somebody to look forward to coming home to or cook for, or all of that. Those are things that I really enjoy. So not having that outlet on top of not having anything to be distracted by, aka a job, which is what I'm notorious for. I'm notorious for throwing myself into my work so as to keep me from confronting or thinking about what else is going on in my life. And so I think that's why it was very necessary for me to go through this period of unemployment, because everything else that was already lining up to make an exit from my life um, would have required me to not have anything to distract me from feeling the bigness of those feelings. So what I'll say now is, I talked a little bit about this on my live driving to work the other day. That I'm tapping more into my vulnerability and becoming more comfortable and honest. Not I never had a problem with being honest, but just being more comfortable with saying the things out loud in addition to feeling the things and sitting with those feelings, as opposed to, again, distracting myself from those feelings, realizing how big of a feeling it might be and then suppressing it because it's too big, whether it be good or bad. Like, it could be something I'm super excited about, but I would still, and then on the flip side, it could be something that I was like really mad about, but I got really good at it. It was a mode of operation because I got really good at it, and it seemed the greatest way to do things, because it was like, okay, if I'm too happy, then people around me are going to be like, what is that? Why is she so happy? And then if I'm too sad, then people are going to be like, what is that? Why is she so sad? So if I feel like I'm getting on either side of those things where I'm about to tip over one way or the other, I would just, okay, I don't have to feel this right now. Let's just file it back here. I'll come back to it later when I have time to feel things. But right now I don't have time to feel things. So we're just gonna and when you do that, you really just set yourself up for failure down the line, because now you can't dictate when it comes back up, because it will inevitably come back up. And that's a lot of what happened when I got to New Jersey. Like a ton of stuff came back up from my relationship with my best friend and how that relationship ended a long time ago. And although I knew that, I did not trust my gut on that. And I allowed um, her perspective to overshadow mine, much like most of our friendship had gone. When I look back on what our friendship was and how it was built, it was mainly built on the fact that she knew she knew a lot more than I did in terms of how to talk to people, how to get in and out of rooms, how to get in and out of trouble. She just she was wittier than I was, funnier than I was, just quick. And so I think because our friendship was built on that, she's always looked at me as someone who could not think for herself or needed her help in that way. And as I grew and I came out of my um, late blooming, shell, some of that started to switch. And once I realized that and I started to have my own voice and started to be able to look at things and make decisions for myself, it was like, okay, um, I don't need you in that capacity anymore. And I even remember writing her a letter and telling her that, like, I don't think we're best friends anymore. Like, I love you, but I don't think we're best friends anymore. And she got upset with me. And of course, I mean, that's probably not the best way of doing things, but that tells you a lot about me, right? Like, when it comes to big feelings, again, it's like, I'm not sure how I should do this. So maybe if I write them out. because if I say them, they might be really big, and I don't know if I can deal with the backlash, the onslaught of emotions that might come from it. Like, so again, this is a mode of operation that I've been doing for quite some time. And again, this was years ago. We were probably in our 20s, early 20s, when I wrote this letter. And this wasn't the last time that I would bring it up. There would be another time that I would bring it up. And her reaction the second time wasn't as vitriolic, but it was very, well, then whatever, if that's what you want to do, kind of, you know? And my thing was like, hey, this doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you anymore. It just means that the road to best friendship stopped back there. And I feel like it would be disingenuous for us to call each other that when that's not really. Anyway, I'm saying all of this to say, when it came back up for me, when I came back to New Jersey, um, I wasn't prepared for it because I felt like I really needed her. And I felt like I was already in a very insecure space, having to move back in with my mother, having to give up my autonomy, having an apartment and a job and in a new state and, all of that, having to give all that up. I liked being in Dallas and I liked having my own stuff. And so I thought I needed her to like help me deal with that loss and being here and um, trying to get back on my feet, right? So when we experienced some things that I won't discuss, but it just illuminated the fact that not only was she not going to be there for me the way I needed her to be, but that she also had me fucked up a little bit. And that wasn't a good feeling because it made me realize that I gave her that impression and that who I am today is not of importance to her with reference to how she treated me or how she viewed me. And I just had to gracefully bow out of the friendship because I still want to be able to, if I bump into her, have good feelings about that. I don't want there to be, I didn't want there to be some large argument or whatever, but to not to minimize it because again, I thought I needed her. So to then realize that, hey, all right, I know you just let go of a bunch of stuff that you really wanted, but here's something else that I think you need to let go of too, sis. And I know you weren't expecting to, but I think it's time. And we're going to keep making things uncomfortable if you think you want to keep this person in your life. And so I made the decision. I mean, the entire month of June when I first got back to Jersey and most of July, all the way up until probably my birthday. I don't even remember if I cried on my birthday or not, but I cried those entire 2 months. I cried every day. Cried every day. And so yeah, like before, I would say it was around my birthday when I called it quits. So we had a full like 2 months of me being back here and she and I hanging out a few times. But yeah, when you look back on, I think all of the tough decisions that we've made, I'm not speaking for you guys, but I'm speaking for myself. All the tough decisions that I've made, when I look back on what actually led to that decision, it helps me to see that the signs were always there, but it also helps me to pay closer attention to the present, right? Because the older I get, the less time I'm going to have to go back and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. On that time, and I remember, I'm not going to be able to do that much more. So I have to be better with calling something out, trusting my gut, and making decisions based on that. So losing my best friend helped me realize that. And, it was tough, like going through all my Instagram photos and deleting the ones that we had together and the ones I posted of her and, unfollowing her and all that good stuff. Like it was tough, but I needed to do it. And that might sound petty, and I'm gonna risk your judgment on that, but it was necessary for me to do because I'm very black and white. I don't like swimming in the middle. And I understand that's also something that I'm working on. But once I've made a decision about something, you're really going to be hard pressed to reverse it. And so the difference between now and then is that I hadn't made the decision. I had seen what I needed to see, but I wasn't ready to make the decision. I just thought that the need for her friendship was greater than me seeing it wasn't serving me anymore. So Toya today can look at that and say, hey, you both served each other's purpose a long time ago. And for that reason, I will always love her and always respect her. But respectfully, I have to make room for something else. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to making even more friendships that are lifelong, to be honest. I'll get back to the video now. Maybe I'll speed it up a bit, just a bit. Before I jump back into the video, I want to highlight Aria's comment. She said, I do not know what she suffers from, but she has shared her feelings with to cope and accept that she can't have kids. I actually cried how open she was for grief. I had a similar reaction to Steph Cole being so honest and open about her inability to naturally conceive. And this I did this reaction video as well, even though she doesn't talk too much about it here. Again, that's another similarity she and I have. Only difference is I did not grow up with this desire to want to have children. It wasn't until I felt that I couldn't, that I was really heartbroken about it. And so, you know, it was hard to come to grips with after realizing how much of a biological imperative it is for women to do that, and that, it wasn't longer a choice. It was something that I had to contend with because the chips were stacked against me. Let's do 125.
I hung out with people that had lived in the city for a while, and at least at that time, they had not met those individuals. They've been single for many years, so everybody has a different experience. For me, Houston was an extremely horny time, and when I moved kind of to detox. I had been in LA, been in a pandemic, been out living a very debaucherous existence, and it was time to just sort of detox and come back to me. And so that's kind of why I moved. I moved out. I didn't move to like the urban, cool parts of Austin, the city parts. I'm out in the open, in the country, in the trees. There's so much wildlife that I run into almost every day, but I love it. I do love that. And that being said, when I met this person, I was starting to feel incredibly alone because even though I preferred like the wild open air, I also realized like, hey, you may have traded.
I got used to the feeling of rejection because my writing just wasn't up to par. Then I found Grammarly, an AI
access to individuals who might be interested in you for this sort of mental and emotional peace you have now. There's a possibility you might never be touched by a man again. And is that something you want? Do you like that? I had no idea how I would ever, I don't know, I felt very lost. Also, when I met this person, I had been told by a doctor that even if I had surgery, there's a good chance that I would never be able to carry a child. And that really freaked me out. Also, when I met this person, I had a huge friendship breakup because of some shit that happened on the internet and some other reasons. So I was feeling isolated. I was feeling disassociated from my own body. I was feeling kind of lost. And I did not really know what the hell was going on. And I had decided, I had said, if I was to date somebody now, he would need to be someone private. And obviously, like, I would want to be attracted to him. And he would need to be somebody that I don't know that I loved, that we could see, something that there could be a future with him. That's what I wanted. And so I went out of town in the fall of 2023 and I met this guy and we talked and there was clearly like a chemistry there. And then I was propositioned for some casual fun and I took him up on it because he was being so, it was a long story. I've told it many times on my Patreon, and then I took the story down and put them back up. It's been tumultuous, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'll just say I agreed to have this casual experience. And when he said that that's what he wanted, that that's what he was interested in, I literally saved his number in my phone as another one bites the dust. If I've learned anything about men who pressure you for casual experiences right up front, they're not interested in doing anything else. That's it. That's why they were talking to you. That's all they wanted. And actually, that year I had turned down those offers on 3 previous occasions when I was traveling. I had turned down men who that's all they wanted. But this particular time, I decided, why not? What could it hurt? And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was one of the most enjoyable experiences of my life, even though it was extremely short. We didn't have a lot of time. But both he and I, after it was over, were kind of looking at each other like, who are you? What did we just do? I describe it without being too crass as a plugging into a socket and a light coming on. I know my body was like, who is that? What did he just do? What is this? When is that? How do we do? What's going on? And that started a chain of events that caused so much emotional struggle, so much just, oof. And again, like I said, ended up with nothing, nowhere, and no one. So to summarize, I left, I came home, we got in contact with each other again. He asked me when I'd be coming back. I said, I'm sorry, it's expensive to travel there. He lived in New York. And he said, well, I'll come to you. And that was an earth-shattering thing to promise for someone like me. I'm not, like I was saying in my Wicked review, I'm not that girl. I'm not the one that men travel for. I'm not the one that men send travel plans to. You will never. I have friends in my life who are like, yeah, so this guy took me to New York and this guy took me here and this guy took me there. Oh yeah, this guy took me to Puerto Rico. This guy took me to Japan. This guy took me to this. Oh, I've been to so and so city a lot of times with my ex, and they would always take me. And oh yeah, we'll go there with his family. I have never traveled with a man. I have never been included in a man's travel plans. I have never even been included in a man's plans for the day, really. I mean, I'm not the kind of woman that a man plans anything around. Travel, events in his life. I'm not that person. I've always been very peripherally involved with any man, even when I've set and I've settled for that. It's been a mess, and it's been a real lack of opportunity. I'll just put it like that, which is why my romantic life is so frustrating and so hard, I think, to be relatable about, which is why I don't talk about it. Anyway, so when this guy was like, I will come to you, I said, and let's be clear on something. Even though I was lost and I didn't really know like what to offer anyone, and I didn't really know where my life was going, I still had all of these feelings inside of me for these things I wanted to experience. Yeah, sure, the doctor had said, hey, Steph, we can have this surgery, but you probably have a long road ahead of you. And again, you might really, really struggle to have a baby. But I was hoping in my heart of hearts that I would meet someone who was like, I see you as the mother of my child, and I have resources, and I love you, and this is something I want to, and I will work with you together on this. Ooh, and that's a big thing to want.
That's a huge thing to want. And it's not anything that I wanted. But again, still part of her story that was resonant for me, because as many of you know, and those of you who are new don't, but I was also told that it would be physically really hard for me to conceive naturally. And so that's what led to me having a hysterectomy in my late 30s. And so to hear her being, freshly turning 40 and being up against the same thing, but the difference is she had such a desire to start a family of her own, and just having to be honest with herself the older she got that would be pretty much off the table. Again, like it had me in my feels. It had me in my feels, because I was like, yeah, I can relate. As someone who always said that they didn't want to have children, when I found out that wasn't even on the table for me, it felt unfair, because it was like, okay, now it's not even my choice. Now it's my body betraying me in a way that I don't think anybody ever anticipated. Because I was going to do a reaction video to Kimberly Nicole Foster, who last week was talking about millennial women and how we were raised to not prioritize relationships and family building over career and stability. And, while I think that's a really good point and should be studied and probably discussed a lot more than it is, it points towards, having more and more stories like mine and Ostefco's, where it's like, okay, maybe we would have prioritized those things, but even in our cases, what good would that have done? Because we wouldn't have been able to start families the traditional way. It was just it was interesting that she talked about this, because it was my first time hearing her discuss this, and again realizing, oh wow, we have something else in common. But yeah, just really, Ostefco really went there and made me feel like I needed to go too. So here we are.
Is a big thing to want. Like, if I couldn't find anybody when my body was good, when I was fine, what makes me think now that I'm a, what is the word, liability, that someone.
Oh, okay, Aria. No, I would not pay for a jobless man to visit me for 2 hours and call him. No, I wouldn't do that. You're right. But the fact of the matter is, I understand where she's coming from. I get that level of wanting companionship and trying to do whatever you can to make that happen, so to speak. I totally understand that. So that's really what I'm referring to when I say I resemble that remark. Because I think, when you have never been married, you don't understand and have enjoyed that level of closeness with someone. I think the closest I've gotten to that is cohabitating with ex who were engaged at one point. That was probably the closest I ever got to that. That was a 12-year ordeal. I don't even want to call it a 12-year relationship. I want to call it a 12-year ordeal. Because it ends in a way that even to this not necessarily about. But that's life, right? Hi, this one.
Is going to come in and love me like that. Like, that's huge. And so I didn't think I would ever meet anybody like that. And I never did, but I still had that inside of me. Also, I let her out sometimes, but most of the time I have to shove her down. I'm very much so a caretaker. I love to cook for people. I love to, or cook for the man that's in my life, or people. I'm very weird about cooking for other women because we tend to be very, very critical. I'll never forget the time that I made guacamole and people acted like I made spit.
Do you have a car? And do you have a clean driving record? Did you know you could pay?
The guacamole was fine. It was fine. And whenever I fed a man, he acts like he's never eaten before. Like there are sparks flying off that plate. I felt so good this one time I made this guy chicken and waffles. Leave me alone. That's what I made him. And I was like, I guess the chicken's all right. You know, it was my chicken. I was used to eating it. I look over at him and homeboy was cracking that bone, licking the gristle. So he was like, is there more? do you have some more? Like every time, whether it's pasta, whether it's breakfast, whether it's whatever, they love it. They eat it up. And so I love doing that. Like it brings me a lot of satisfaction. There's quite the lover girl, the lover woman, inside of me. And she never gets to come out. I always have to keep people at bay. I have to keep that part of me pressed down because I never make it far enough with somebody to be able to show them that side of myself. And that's the story of my life. So this man offering to come and see me, to come to where I was, we talked about him getting a hotel. He doesn't necessarily have to stay there, but getting a hotel in the area. I sent him around where I lived, like the area, like not my house, but I sent him, and I told him, hey, like whenever you want to come. And I was so excited because this was going to be the first time. This was going to be the first time. It was going to be the biggest thing a guy ever did for me, flying down to see me. Now, since I've been involved with this person, I see that this kind of stuff happens every day. People fly to go see somebody and pop every day. But for me, it had never happened for me. And I was excited. And I told people about it and they were like, really? Wow. And so I was like, yeah, girl, he's going to come and I'll call you and tell you what outfit I'm going to wear. And, within no time, he proved himself to be the typical man who was attracted to me, struggling with finances, a liar, doesn't carry out and do what he's supposed to do. And he couldn't understand why it was so frustrated with him, when he kept delaying actually booking a ticket. And I was trying to explain to him, listen, I'm used to men letting me down. If you can't actually do this, don't text me with how much you want to have all these explicit situations, how much you want to take me out. Don't share this information. Don't share these desires if you can't do anything about it. And so there began our very, very terrible routine of blocking, him popping back up, unblocking, popping back up. It was ridiculous. And we went back and forth like that, I'm ashamed to say, for months. And the sad part was whenever we would actually talk, whether it was FaceTime, whether it was on the phone, and I would hear his voice, and I mean, the energy, the connection was there. And it was the biggest thing that I...
Pausing right here just to say, it's not even just desperation. It's longing, right? Because we all want to be in companionship, right? And the older you get, the less you want to depend on your ships for that kind of connection. I'll be honest and say there was somebody I was talking to that even for the millisecond that I did take them seriously, I knew very early I shouldn't, right? And this, I mean, men will stop at nothing to convince you that they are actually interested in you, because they know, as women, we thrive in delusion. So you can make the lie sound good. Oh, we'll keep him back for more. Or I had somebody tell me that he had bought a plane ticket to come see me when I was in Texas. Didn't buy a ticket the first. Then when I asked him proof, he sent me a screenshot of some bullshit that I knew, a plane ticket or a voucher or a receipt or anything. But what's crazy about it is they get mad at you for calling them on the bullshit you were supposed to believe. That's the craziest part. Like you're not doing me any first, sir. Like, I appreciate you think you might be helping me out by selling me a dream, but I'm not buying it. And then get mad at me that I'm not in the dream. So what you allow will persist, but you have to be strong enough to look at bullshit for what it is and say, I'm going to allow you to keep in my time because I'm bored, which is what I did. I answer the call and have conversation with, because quite frank, I wasn't talking to anybody else. But I also knew that it's wasting time, right? Like, I had the perspective of, here he go me again, and I'll put this time. Let's see what bullshit he's gonna serve me today. I got a little bit of a kick out of it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little masochistic in that way. Like, the same way I've told guys before, like, I'll listen to the lie. Just make it sound good. I can know that you're lying to me, but please make it entertaining. So that when I go back and tell the story, I can inject some humor because of how crazy you sounded and the fact that I knew you wasn't about shit in the first place. So we as women, we have to take accountability for realizing, A, this is going nowhere and you know it's not, but you continue to, by you continuing to entertain it, you're pouring on the flame. And so that's an actually even not too long ago. I read the email, not reply. I mean that's what you do, right? When you want to get off the BS train, you just literally have to take the first step, that walking away. You can't continue to placate that. Oh, he says I'm boring. Sorry. I hope I'm not anymore. Shout out to Deadman and shout out to D Scott. You 3000 GT Atlanta. I see you. Are you wrong for you are wrong for using a picture of you kissing. I'm really kissing at you. I'm in your face. That's not really me kissing at you. I'll put my camera on real quick so I can kiss that so you can see the difference. There's a difference. There's a difference, guys. That's me kissing at you. There's a difference. But yeah, D Scott, you jump off when it's still moving. Absolutely. Like sometimes it's on throw mama from the train type ish. Like I don't care that this thing's still moving, but you need to jump off it. You need to go someplace else. Let's get back to the video.
I have ever felt in all of my years. And I felt so gypped because here I was with this beautiful connection and all of this potential, that it was like lost in this Bermuda Triangle, what is the word? Quicksand reality. I had so many questions for him. Why are you so difficult? He didn't want. I remember the first time I asked him, "Can we talk on the phone?" And he was like, "Talking on the phone is my kryptonite." What? You get that man on the phone, he won't shut up. Okay. So, and I'm like, oh, who? There was too much. Like even thinking about it now, even thinking about how stressful it was, I feel it here. It was so.
Oh, that is not Kimster. That it is Stefco. And shout out to Z for putting me on to her as a content creator, because she is the gift that keeps on giving.
Stressful having that really intense connection and knowing how, we could get on the phone on like a FaceTime and I would just want to stare at him. And I have pictures of, like, sometimes I would take a screenshot of us like talking, or, I would see his hair, he was doing something and I was like, look at him, he looks cute. And I have a picture of us on a FaceTime call and I am wearing a sun hat and he is looking at me, and the affection in his eyes and the amusement. I had to share it with somebody. I was like, nobody's ever looked at me like that before. What is it? Who is this? What is this? So we went back and forth for months, and the idea was he was going to figure out how to come to me. And I think he was dealing with a lot on his end. I don't even want to talk about what his domestic situation was. There were things there that I didn't understand.
So I stopped it right here because I want to, before we get too far away from what she just said about asking him why does he make it so difficult. It's really interesting if women stop and think about the questions that they ask their partners and instead ask themselves. Because I think a lot of times the questions that we ask them or the asks that we have of them are really questions we need to be asking ourselves. And so when she started talking about the boundaries that she put up, I think he could have very well asked her, why are you making this so difficult? And I wonder if she would have had an answer. Because we think we have it all together. We got it all figured out. We're the one, just because we might have a career and, a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of, and residual income to be able to travel and things like that. It doesn't mean that we are better than someone who doesn't have those things, because here she and I both are, we're both single and would rather be in a relationship where she was just talking about having the ability to be a caretaker and to cook for and put that smile on his face because that he really enjoyed something you made from the heart. Those are things that we both enjoy doing and really want to do again. But in this situation with this guy, I'm not saying that he was perfect for her or that they should have gone anywhere specifically. But if you just listen to how she's describing the boundaries she was putting up, whether it be him not being financially stable or not necessarily wanting to come to her, I can make a case both ways. I can understand why that was a turnoff for her, but I could also make a case for him and say that, at least he's being honest with you about what the challenges may be. But also that if you guys are having conversation and you're seeing this passion in his eyes for you, then maybe going with that with a sense of ease versus putting up boundaries could have been more helpful. Not saying that it would have led to a long-term relationship or marriage or anything like what she was describing wanting, but I think that sometimes, modern women like Ostefco and myself, we get in our own way because we want to check off all these boxes. And it's like, well, hold on. Would you be okay with him having a set of boxes that you don't check off? Because a lot of times we don't even consider that we might not be what you want. We might not measure up in the ways that matter to you. We're only thinking about the ways that matter to us and how that should be our goal. And it's like, hold on, I might have some different goals than you. I might have a different way of going about life than you that I see leading me to where I want to be. It may not look like yours, but it doesn't make it invalid, right? I just wanted to add that.
That I couldn't co-sign, that I gave him a very hard time for, and he was very clear about me being wrong. I wasn't, I was assuming things that I couldn't prove, and whatever. But we went back and forth for a while, and like I said, the idea was that to end the confusion, to bring some clarity, he would always come to me, and yet he could never book a flight, and yet he could never figure it out. And I was so disappointed because here it was in my 40th year, and I should be celebrating ideally with a lover. I should have like my love life locked in, but instead I'm going back and forth, blocking and unblocking, throwing emails in the trash, digging in the trash for the emails, having phone calls and then not talking to him. What is this? This sucks, but this is what I'm tied to for the time being. The summertime came and we decided to switch things up. And I finally said, okay, I can come to you. And I wish I had never said that, because from that moment on, it gave him the upper hand to say to me, well, if you don't come to me, then you've really let both of us down. And what I would later learn about him was that he was very ego-centered, very ego-centered. He had this concept of what women should do to prove that they really have feelings for him. According to him, a woman having feelings for him isn't a big deal. And so he can have anybody he wants. And these are things that he actually would say to me when he was angry about me not acquiescing to coming up to see him. He can have anybody he doesn't have to deal with this. He doesn't have to deal with me and my mess. And I would say, okay, well then don't. Hang up, blocking, unblocking, fighting. I miss you, whatever, right? The summer comes and it's more of this. And finally he breaks down and he's like, okay, look, I will pay for your flight and I'll put money on the hotel. And this is my budget for taking you out. And he was in between jobs at this point. And honestly, if I had taken him up on that, I don't know where I would be right now. I don't know. I really don't. In retrospect, if I really wanted this person and wanted to be around and wanted to see what this connection was, then I should have, when he was open and he was flexible, which it took us months to get there, I should have gone to see him. But I started to hear the voices of 100,000 internet dating coaches in my mind and the ghosts of the 50-50 conversation. Why would I, a woman, go visit a man and he can only give me $100 for a hotel that for 3 days in the summer in New York City is going to cost me $900? Why would I, a woman, go see a man who, and it's like, well, you go do it because the man that you want, that you're connected to, right now he can't afford to do that, but he wants you and he's trying.
Hey, so I'm back and it's a different day, so I have on a different sweater. But I thought that was a really good place to stop, because I was just talking about how she was putting up all these obstacles. She just sat there in her name. So she was aware of the fact she wasn't even giving it the chance that she could have, because she was naming all these other things that he couldn't do. But all of us still being able to he checked all the other boxes. So, again, just proof of how we get in our own way. And the last thing that I would discuss is how back here and seeing my ex having moved on with some new, and it being pretty much in my face on a consistent basis, not a daily basis, not quite a daily basis, but on a very consistent basis. Because yeah, I know it's bugging. I'm sorry. Can we please just F towards getting through this, as borgy and messed up as it is? I addressed that in the beginning of this live stream. This is me live streaming a record that I did and had posted a few days ago on my channel, but because of how I edited it, I tried to get rid of all the ads. I tried to rinse it, but for whatever reason, when I did that, it kind of sacrificed the sound quality of the recording. So after I posted it for a few hours, I ended up privatizing the video because I was like, let me come back to this so I can talk to it. And because I still want to share the information, I still wanted to, be vulnerable and bare myself with reference to what Stefko talking about here. So let's try to pass through the boarding. I appreciate you for listening and hitting the like button. He next door to my mom, and so in the same apartment that he and I once shared, he is now entertaining the company of the woman he moved on with, and I feel like I think that was a lot for anybody who witnessed, regardless of how the relationship ended. But in my case, it was more impactful because of how I was putting obstacles and barriers between the success of our relationship. We were in it because I was ready for the things that I'm ready for now. And that sounds like a cop-out, but it's the shortest way of explaining it. What I will say is that I did a lot to sabotage that relationship and to suppress the big feelings that along with that much kind of love for someone, because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know if it was okay to express it, have it, and how to act upon it. So I distract myself, didn't distract myself anymore. And I even put myself in positions that I shouldn't have been in that wouldn't honor that relationship, which is why it ended. And I was able to walk away from engagement, right? Because much like what Stefko talking about, I was listing all this couldn't do and all the ways I would be able to provide for myself that he wouldn't be able to. Whole time ignoring the entirety of the bigger picture, which is that this is a man who takes off all these other bodies and makes me feel supported, protected, and loved. So coming back to New Jersey and witnessing that when he and I had always been on speaking terms, so it was very shocking to me that he ever told me about her, and that she was his girlfriend, but there was no mention of her made prior to me actually seeing her coming out of the apartment. And some other things too. Should I mention that? Should I tell y'all what I saw? This is gonna sound horrible, but because we used to share that same apartment together, I still had a key. He did this, but I would never use it without telling him first, or having a conversation about what would need to, which was never, because I was never here. So, I was in Texas for about 3 years. So, and even before that, I was living in a whole different part of the state, and just it was not a thing. So, anyway, when I came back to he explicitly said to me, "Hey, if you ever just want to get out of your mom's house and come chill over here when I'm at work or whatever, help yourself. Just do whatever you need to do, and it's fine." So I'm like, all right, thanks. One day I took him up off her, and I really wish I had because on this day in particular, when I took him up on that offer, it must have been very soon after he left, because I was confronted with the aroma of a lovemaking session, and I can't tell y'all how mortified I was in that moment. What I just said, in case you couldn't make it out, is that I went over there, took him up on his offer. I could come over in time in his apartment whenever I needed to get out of my mom's house, because I still had a key. And unfortunately, I could smell that he just had sex. Like, I must have came over there like moments after they left. And so that was shocking for me. And so I'm going to talk a little about that. But like, it's one thing to have an ex that you bump into from time because y'all still live in the state, or that y'all still live in the same area, or right. It's that's one thing, but there's it's a whole nother thing to live next door to that ex in the same place that you once shared, and see that he has moved on with somebody else, and constantly be confronted with seeing them together, getting car, going out, coming in, whatever. Just by virtue of that level of closeness, you're going to see them. And so here I am trying to navigate, still wanting to be friends with this person because we've known each other 7th grade. Okay. So it's like not it wasn't a breakup that ended up hating each other. We still don't. We still very much care for each other. We're still very amicable toward one another. Like I said earlier in the stream, we both moved on. But when you suppress your feelings to distract you from them, and you come back to a place where the universe is kind of like, hey, I know you thought you suppressed this stuff, but here it is coming up for you so that you can actually deal with it in the way that you didn't before. It's difficult. It's hard. So a lot of the reason we spent the summer in tears is because I was being guarded with that every day, and trying to be the bigger person, and not, bond emotionally to something that I really didn't have the license to respond to. When you're younger, you are immature, so you act out, and it's okay. But when you're older, you're not supposed to do that way. You're not supposed to allow your emotions to get the best of you, so that you start, keying cars, busting out windows, flattening folks' tires, all things that I thought about, um, confronting, because I had the key, like waiting until she was there to be like, who you know what I'm saying? These are all that came across mine, but it was really my fault because, hey, you still had feel this person, and you could move on from it without confronting it, without reconciling it, without processing it. And life has a fun way of being like, haha, jokes on. So that's a large part of the reason why my summer didn't go as great as I thought. That this year has so transformative for me, because it's taken a lot for me to not only to terms with these feelings and these actualizations, but to then verbally express them. And this is what I'm here on YouTube doing today. So let's try to get through the rest of this boring. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is why I took it down and decided to do this live stream, because like I can't leave this video up all crappy like this. So let's just get it through it. The remnants of clothing that were worn prior to. And so, that was a little jarring to say the least. But keep in mind that while I am trying to process the fact, not only has he moved on, but this is someone who's comfortable with up into the space that once shared, and then that still remnants of living there around. But that I had suppressed the true feelings that I had for him for so long. Those were also coming back. Like, so it wasn't just feeling, this is my business, I don't want to see this. Why am I seeing this? It was also, I still love this man. And despite that, there's nothing I can do action upon those things, because he has moved. I mean, I moved on, but now that I'm back, all of these feelings of what if there's some gas left in the tank for us start to come. And now I'm actually processing the feelings I suppressed for so long in a way that I have to like sit with. I have to just so whatever would come up when I would see them together, leaving or coming, it was just like, okay, it's there. You got to deal with it, Toya. So yeah, this is what made me listening to Steph Coco about year and dating for her, and this twin flame connection. I felt very much like that about Max too. I felt like our connection was really strong. We were together for many years. We were engaged at one point. Like I experienced a lot of firsts with him. So there's just a connection that I had with him that I never had with anyone else. Granted, I've only had long-term relationships in my life, so there's not a whole parent to do there. But I just thought it pertinent and kind of be honest about all of that coupled with losing my best friend, coupled with losing my independence in Texas, coupled with having to move back in my mom, not having a job, all of those emotions running through me this summer, and this is what led to me not having the best, a quite lackluster summer, if we're being honest. Let's get back to the video.
But in my mind, I was like, what kind of a story does this tell for someone like me? You know, I started off at, I have no one, no one's interested, and then people only want sex. And now this man who started off only wanting sex wants to send me a flight, is asking me to come see him every day, wants me to come up there, but he can only put $100 down. And let's not forget that I would pay for the hotel and I would have to board my dogs. And at the end of the day, the issue is I'm paying 70% of the cost to make this weekend happen with us. And I think for me too, it was the fact that I was in yet another hypogamous connection. Listen, I'm not a moneymaker. I am not a big breadwinner. That's not me. I just finished watching, or actually I'm currently watching the Martha Stewart documentary. That woman's life and how wealth just came to her with whatever she did. That is brilliant. Yes, I looked at the birth chart. Yes, it checks out. I saw a little bit of the interview with Kiki Palmer and Shannon Sharp, and her talking about her life as like the breadwinner for her family. And, you know, Kiki, what do we call her? Kiki Keep a Job Palmer. People like that who money stays coming to them, whatever they do, they stack it higher and higher. That is not me. That's not me. Not only was I not given the desires to do the kind of jobs that's going.
I can't say that like I feel great in this outfit. There's just nothing that says like
keep the money up. But the things I was given the desires to do, there's a bit of a cap, right? I'm kind of limited. So I really need a partner who is the moneymaker, or at least somebody who can meet me halfway for me to feel like I'm being fair to myself. A lot of the men that I've been involved with, when I've been involved with them, they are having severe financial issues. They don't have a solid place to stay. They don't have cars that work. They are out of work and receiving unemployment. They are working, but all of their money is going to pay down their debt. So they don't have any time or energy or finances to properly date and go out and do stuff. And these are the people that come to me naturally. Okay. They find somewhere, it's like they can smell me in the air. She'll be a good sugar mama, but I'm not. And so I just thought about all of that. And I was like, you know, this man is being honest, but I also don't believe him. There was just like I had to work on him for months. If he really wanted me in his life, he would have had to continue to offer that for months, because I wasn't ready to accept it in June. But by July, September, August, I might have been ready to accept it. And instead what happened was I didn't go see him. He got really mad. He cussed me out. I decided to go to Puerto Rico instead. I know what you're thinking. Stephanie, you couldn't go up to see him, but you went to Puerto Rico. See, here's the deal about that. I wanted to go somewhere tropical because I had turned 40 this year. It was kind of a gift from my parents. Well, it was weird how that worked out. I had to pay them back for part of it. And I booked the wrong hotel. It was a whole thing. And then I can vlog about that and show it on TV. I'm so scared of sharing, and I won't ever share if I'm ever involved with anyone and I'm still making content. I won't ever share him with the internet ever. When I first started this, I was like, "Ooh, I want a boyfriend I can tag. I want to be in a social media relationship. I want to be." Now, hell no. I don't want nobody in his business. I don't want nobody talking about him. I don't want nobody to know who that man is.
So I'm a little defense about this, because while I see where he's coming from and I can agree, I also am like for us to pop out. I would love me and my CEO to pop out. Because listen, I like to put a good dress and a heel and go someplace and so I'm gonna need someone's arm who also can do the same, and that we both match each other's fly, and we can pop out and put up a picture or a cute little video and like, yeah, that's us. So I mean, you know, we don't have like a joint Instagram or anything like that. But sometimes it's a little something.
At this point, I could get married and never say a thing. That's how secretive I am now. But back in the day, it wasn't like that, but now it is. And so I was thinking, Stephanie, if you go up to see him and you are around him, and what if you see somebody to subscribe to your channel? That's happened before. A couple years ago, I went to Connecticut. We were getting off a train, and someone said, "Oh, Zefco, hey." And I was like, what? So it was cool. It also happened to me in Las Vegas. Like, so it's cool, but what if they see me with this man? And now people are talking about him. And what if people know things about him that I'm not sure I don't know yet? I kept asking him, please clarify for me that you are actually single. Please clarify. Because I don't believe you. Because the thing is he's attractive. He's attractive. Why would, and in my mind, I'm like, why would an attractive man be this hooked on me for this long in this way? He could just go down the street and get some if he wants to. Why is he so connected to me? It didn't.
Maggie Thompson said, love is out loud, out, period. Yes, indeed. And I am a loud lover. I love. Super affectionate. But you know, if I don't feel that way about you, I just don't feel that way about you. Shout out to Scott for the cash app. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, let's get back to the video. And I really do appreciate y'all powering through the fact I'm board game. Like I said, I knew that this was poor quality not when I uploaded, but when I went to go watch it back. For some reason, the switch over from StreamYard recording to YouTube it made me bored. Because at the time I was recording, there was no borging. Wait, played it back studio, there was no borging. But as soon as I put it, there was borging. And I don't know if it was because I took 2 days to record this, so I paused the ring and went back to it. I'm not sure. But next year I'll do better. I promise. I promise. Aria says, I would be Issa Rae. You only saw her on her web series back in the day and in her one wedding picture online. You know, I see, I'm a Leo and we like to live life out loud. So whoever I am coupled with must be comfortable with being in that spotlight with me, at least sometimes. You don't always have to be in it, but you have to be comfortable with being in it some, because you're my husband. I want everybody to know you're my husband. I want everybody to know that this is who I'm loyal to, and that if you try to come for me, it's not going to happen because this is who it is, and everybody knows that this is who it is. I'm proud of who that is. I love him immensely, and I cook for him all the time, and I give him good loving too. Like, I want that to be known. I don't have to necessarily post ins and outs of that. I'm not that kind of a, but I'm definitely going to be proud of whoever it is I am cleaved to. And so while I understand the people who post their husband, I get it. It's just not it's just probably not be my ministry. You're gonna know who I'm married to, and I'm gonna be proud of that. My pride means so much to me, and it's not about showing off. It's about no. This is who I'm. Do you see who I'm? Like, I am so proud of who I'm with. I am so happy with who I'm with. I am so excited to share this joy with others, and that's really about for me. It's not about the necessarily getting praise or acclaim from anybody, because the 2 people in the relationship are the only 2 people's opinions that matter. But yeah, I'm a very, very person. And so if you follow me on Instagram, you see a lot about my life, see a lot about who I am as a person. I think YouTube does a great job of depicting that for you. You get glimpses of my personality here, but if you follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, you see the things that I post on a daily basis. I give a more clear depiction of who Toya is. So that will, with social media, that will probably not change. And so while I don't think I'm gonna necessarily post, I him on this day and we became boyfriend and girlfriend this day and we got, like, I don't think I'm gonna like that, but we'll know. Just like I'm single right now. You will know I'm no longer single. Shout out Dave Tao. Back to a video.
Make sense. So I had a lot to work on myself. And like I said, if he wanted to see me, he should. And I explained it to him, I think something else had happened. And I also didn't feel right about possibly messing with his pockets when he was in a transition financially. I didn't go. We thought about it. July came. We fought some more. Another guy entered the picture in July. Oh, that was messy. He left very shortly. He entered and left. My summer was messy. August came and he and I decided, he told me at the end of July, I'm not going to talk to you anymore because you're the reason why I'm broke. I have not. And I'm thinking, you have not ever given me $1. That was another thing with him. He always wanted me to send him pictures, images of myself, and he wouldn't do anything for me. So, like, send me flowers, send me coffee. One day he called me and he was really upset and he really was like, why aren't we talking? I don't like the fact that we're not speaking to each other, blah, blah, blah. And I say, we're not talking because I asked you for things and you can't do them. And, we're fighting or we're not. And I'm in Target at the time and I say, I'm going to go get coffee. And I had been asking this man to, like, send me a coffee. You want all these pictures. You want me doing all these lavish photo shoots for you for free. You want me to be like your little pocket OnlyFans star. I'm not doing that. And on top of that, you won't even send me any flowers. Like, I can't even get a coffee out of you. And you're supposed to come visit me. You never came. Like, no. So one time I'm at a Target and I say, I think I'm gonna get a coffee. And he goes, did you check your phone? And I go and I look and he had sent me some money for coffee. He's like, see, we can have coffee together today. It was so sweet. I honestly, you guys, I'm just saying this. If he had continued to just try, because I have a lot of trust issues on my end and I had a lot of reasons not to trust this man. But that doesn't mean I was never going to trust him. That doesn't mean I was never going to give it, But no, he didn't do all that.
And to her point, yes, that was very sweet. And those are the kinds of things that we love. We love small gestures that. And to her point as well, if he had continued with that same energy, this probably would have been a different video. they would have had a very different outcome. I think even with that, you got to be careful, because some guys will do that, and it'll be a form of prumbing, where they'll get that one time, and then eons before you see them make a gesture like that again. Or because of the positive response that they got from it, they'll try to ride that out for as long as it can. Which I can't blame them. You know, one thing I realized very recently at my big age is that everybody's not going to give information you need to make this decision. They're not obligated to do that. And as much as I try to do that, I have had expectation of others only to be burned in that, in that expectation. Where if I'm speaking to you matter of factly, directly, I'm telling you that I like you. You have power to then say, I like you, but maybe not as much as you do. But who's gonna do that? They're getting something. If there's payoff in me making them that much, and they're getting the attention from me that they desire and crave, enjoy it. The risk of losing that is why people breadcrumb, is why people keep you on a string, is why people sell you a dream of what may never come to fruition. And so to Lee's point, she says, I think we lack a realistic portrayal of relationships. So constantly feel less than if we're not doing relationship as well as others. I like out love that is real. Same. That's why, even though I've dated plenty of guys, if you've followed me, and I know nobody here on YouTube that is me right now hello me on Instagram for as long as I've been on Instagram. But if you were there at the beginning and are there now, you would see that the only men that I've posted on Instagram have been my ex, my father, my uncle, my cousin, and my best friend. If you're a man that I posted on Instagram, it typically, you've solidified a spot in my life, is what I'm trying to get across. You're not somebody that I'm just casually dating. You're not somebody that I'm sharing lusty emails with behind the scenes. Like, no. Because I want to have an out loud that is real. So if the love ain't real, then it ain't gonna be out loud. And if it ain't out loud, it ain't real. Not for me. So thanks for saying that, Maggie.
Eventually what he did was he decided I was too much work. He needed to focus on his life. Told me I wasn't going to hear from him for another 6 months. I broke down crying like Marissa on Love is Blind. Just when we got off the phone, again, felt so connected to him. And we didn't talk the month of August. I got my number changed. I was like, you'll never be able to come back.
Communication is an essential part of my job. That's why.
Only for me to text him from my email, from my phone. I learned so much from him about what to do when someone is blocked. The ways he came back around were so creative. I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, okay. By the end of August, we were talking again. And every time we got on that phone and we saw each other, it was just a very visceral attraction. Again, I've never experienced anything like this in my life. And part of me feels blessed that we were separated by miles and ego and financial restrictions, because if we weren't, what would have happened? Would I have gotten his name tattooed on my neck? Maybe. Would I be wearing his blood around my neck? Maybe. I don't know. It was one of these, like, again, I've never experienced anything like this in my life, ever. So September comes and I say, I still want to see you. And I feel like the seasons are changing. And I feel like you're going to, because he was always, the work thing was always weird for him. Anyway, so I say, I'm going to come up there, and this time don't worry about paying for anything. I feel bad and I feel like it's my fault that we never saw each other. Mind you, it wasn't my fault. I just didn't have enough up front for me to feel okay about coming on this trip to see him. I felt bad about spending $800 to see a man. I don't know. I wasn't.
Stopping this here for a story. So this summer, I was asked to Miami with a guy, and this was one whom I shared a casual relationship with, and he was, got you for the weekend, like I got the ticket, I got you. I'll make sure you're good for the week. And I said no to that for two reasons. One, the one that's listing right now, which she didn't feel comfortable traveling with the resources that were available to her time. And it was my thing. Like, he knew that I wasn't working. He knew that I wouldn't be able to really pay for anything, but offering to make sure I was good. But let's just say it didn't work out quite the way we thought it would, for whatever reason, because things happen. I did not want to be at mercy of someone who offered to do these things for me without being able to make sure that I was okay. So that is why I decided not to go. But in addition to that, because the nature of our relationship was no longer a casual romance, it had now moved to a platonic friendship. I also felt like that was not okay if I wasn't able to at least buy my own flight, or at least purchase a room, for myself. And so those are the two reasons I did not go. And I think I gained another level of respect from him for doing that. We're still cool. We don't talk on a regular basis anymore. I know that if I was to call, he'd pick up and same here. Like, there's no animosity between the two of us. But again, a lot goes into when you're going out of town to go meet up somebody. There's a lot that goes into that, and somebody who likes to prep and prepare and be organized and have my I's dotted and my T's crossed. I cannot travel without that assurity. There's lots of women who have. I've done it before, 20s. I'm not gonna sit here and come to y'all and say I haven't flew out. But it only takes one time for you to go and do something like that and realize you're at the mercy of somebody else to be like, I'm never doing that again.
Convinced just yet. And then after that, he never offered that again. And even when I would say, okay, you can't offer just to pay for one night in a hotel, you can't, because we couldn't stay together because it's a domestic situation. And he wasn't married or involved with, but he was involved. It was messy. And I didn't like that. So I said, if I'm gonna do this, I'm leapfrogging over my own scruples. And you can't even pay for one, like, you can't offer to do nothing. I gotta pay for my own flight and my own, like, you're gonna punish me to get me to do something ridiculous that's gonna benefit you. Instead of doing what anyway, by the time I got to September, I was like, Stephanie, you need to be prepared to let him go. That's what he wants. He wants to be let go, I guess. And you need to be prepared to do it. So why don't we just put this all to rest? And for your own sake too, go up there and see him and let that be it. Let that be the end. But I could never make myself do it. I couldn't ever. I would get a flight. I would book on hotels.com, so I didn't have to pay right away for the hotel. And I could never ever go through with it because everything I had been trained to believe about being a woman, everything I had been trained to believe about the respect a man needed to show me if he wanted to see me, it would literally cause me to have a meltdown. And if I'm coming to see you, we need to be talking on the phone. We need to be FaceTiming. You need to have time I need to be able to make a schedule. If I'm putting my money in, it's almost $1,700. I'm boarding my dogs, booking a flight, booking a hotel. I got to worry about food, Uber. I don't have that. I don't actually even have it. I don't even know where I thought I was going to get. I don't have it. But I was going to scrounge it up. Let me try and see if I can find it. And what I need you to do is be available. And so what I figured out was I couldn't do what he needed me to do to come and see him. I couldn't man up because I shouldn't have to. So we didn't see each other in September. And when I say soul tie connection, I'm literally talking about the fact that when I didn't show up and I didn't see this man, we didn't talk, I could feel his disappointment. I feel like energetically, like it was with me all day. It would sit on my chest. Like I would get hot. I knew, I've never been connected or felt in anything like this for my life. That's all I can say. I just keep reiterating it. So September passes by the whole month and it's a very hard month for me. I have trouble sleeping. I start taking a lot of the Kourtney Kardashian let me chill pills. I'm high out of my mind because you're supposed to take 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the evening. Who can do that and function? I couldn't. I had a very hard time. And then in the midst of all of that, I tried to get really into working out. I started taking these dance classes and I had these horrific ass spasms for like a week. Couldn't walk. I was in so much pain. I was screaming. And then on top of that, I started my period. So I had 1 or 2 weeks of September where I was in agonizing emotional pain, physical pain, and menstrual pain. And it was just, it was tough. And eventually September ended and October began. And on October 1st, here this man comes. He used to always love to roll through on the 1st with a message. October 1st, here he comes and he's like, please come and see me. Why can't you just come and see me and we can enjoy each other's company? And I knew he was going to come. Like I said, I really felt like I was so connected to him. And so whenever I thought he was going to make another appearance, it was like that song from Mary Poppins, winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing and about to begin. Can't put my finger on what lies in store, but I feel what's to happen. All happened before. I knew he was going to come back. And he did.
Look, this holiday season, Disney Plus has gifts for the whole family, like these uninvited guests.
And he says to me, can't you just come visit me and we spend each other? And I say, can't you just spend money for the hotel? Can't you just, we're in the same fight. And this time I had missed him so much that I delayed that fight for a little bit. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna book a hotel. I'm gonna book Now what I would want him to do is say, okay, and months have passed. You see what I mean when I say this is so ridiculous? Every day, men see women on the internet and say, "Oh, girl, you so fine. You want to get flown out." And a woman packs a suitcase and goes. Every day. Every day, people decide they like each other and take a trip. Okay, let's schedule and let's meet each other. Every day. But for some reason, I had met somebody that refuses. He refused to do anything on the ground portion to get me to him. And this trip stuck out to me because I was just super nervous. I was like, okay, I do have enough. The fall, it's cheaper in New York to visit. And I was like, okay, I do have enough to come up, do one night. My cousin got married beginning of October. And so I was like, okay, I can come up there and I can fly from Houston, which is cheaper. And I can be with you for we can do one, maybe 2 nights. And then I have to come home. And he was like, okay, cool. And, she started to come out of me, right? I was so excited to be talking to my little baby again. So excited. I was like, oh, do you like fall coffees, themed coffees? It's fall. Well, but most importantly, what kind of person thinks it's okay to say that and then to follow it up with this? What the hell is this? And it made me realize that because I had never been offered anything more, because I don't know where to find it, because I'm now old, I'm way older than I ever thought I would be before I experienced reciprocal romantic love, because my body could change any minute. That's another reason why I hate that have been single in these years, because when you're in your 40s as a woman, it's kind of like 1 year you're 40 and the next year you're 54. Like your body can just change so drastically. And I wanted to experience a good lover before I went into full hormone change and menopause and all of that stuff. I wanted to experience something I wanted someone to love me as I am now and to be able to enjoy them as well. And that just never happened. And so, I'm holding on to this thing. Also, it's so valuable to me because it's the first time I've ever been physically attracted to someone and it's been reciprocal. And I also want to say that he was such a good listener. The man is, I think he might be somewhat telepathic or psychic. There were times when I would be thinking about him or doing whatever, and he would text me and he would respond to what I was thinking about. But we live 2,000 miles away. Like, there's no way. And I would say, and I wouldn't say it out loud. And I would say to him, how do you know that that's what I'm thinking? Well, what are you doing? Well, how do you know this? And he would go, you put it out there in the ether. It's floating around. Telepathy. In my graveyard of failed romantic experiences, there are quite a few accusations of, you act so crazy. You're crazy. And what I found about men who look at women's behavior as just evidence of their emotional instability and not as evidence of how terrible a man is treating that woman. First of all, they're extremely ego-centered, very selfish, very self-centered, and they don't care about that woman at all. A man who cares about you is going to think about his actions first. And to be honest, in this situation, I am
Black Friday deals are happening at your Going Gone by Dick's Sporting Goods.
kind of whitewashing, or I'm purity washing over a lot of the elements of what happened between us. There were so many times where I just straight up was like, he's lying. He could come visit. He has the money. There were times where he did go and travel, but he just didn't come to see me. So you can book a flight, but you just can't book one to come see me. I was never clear on his domestic situation, which put a big roadblock in whether or not I was willing to come up there, especially to come up there and spend my own money. And most importantly, like I said, he's a cute kid. There's no reason and no guarantee that somebody down the street can't do for you what you're claiming is so special about me. The only thing that made me want to hold on to him was the idea that there was love there and that there was a reason why he was in my life at this time of my life. And it was supposed to be in some way important. So when I read the email of him saying, I could never love you, look how you act. Number one, I was like, I know some ridiculous people, and they are loved down. I know people that have met someone when they are in the middle of a mental health crisis so bad. I don't want to give details, but that's when they meet their person. I know people that have met someone when they're dealing with body positivity issues, when they're dealing with just general good old depression, when they're at their lowest financially. And that's when they meet their person. So this concept of, oh, you acted a certain way, so you're not worth love, is ridiculous. And also, I just want to go back to, there were so many times where I told this man, hey, I can see that you're doing this. So for example, asking me for pictures and images without doing anything for me first. There's a reason why OnlyFans is so popular. There's a reason why we call a certain thing the oldest profession in the world. When men want sexual paraphernalia, sexual activity from women, the expectation is that you pay. And I don't even want to run that kind of connection with you. But if that's what you're coming to me for, you think I'm just supposed to give this stuff to you for free? And that is what he thought. And so I read that and I said, this person thinks that you having standards is in some way detrimental. You have written him so many things. You've explained to him so many times why you feel the way you feel. And instead of it being something that makes him say, wow, she's a woman that stands on business, he looks at it and says, ugh, look how you act. It almost threw me back into that whole thing of being so hard to understand and always being the odd one out. I'm never enough for somebody to just do the work. And why is it so hard? Why do I have to meet the person that makes this so damn hard? And I have two answers for that. The first answer is that when I met him, I was really floating in space. And while I do think that it would have been incredible to have someone to meet me where I was at. So, you know what, if I'm afraid to make friends right now, if I'm afraid to show someone my body, meet someone who's like, you are incredible, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to be with you, I'd probably be married. This probably wouldn't just be a ring that my mama gave me years ago that I found while I'm currently packing up my apartment, but I probably would actually have married the dude if that was his vibe. But instead, I feel like it was, he saw where I was and thought I was going to be easy to manipulate. Secondly, I feel like I needed to believe that it was finally my turn to experience something important. In astrology, that's right. There's this concept of a profection year. So every year of our lives highlights a certain level of our lives. And so you might have one year that specifically it's a lot, but every year highlights something, and it's different than numerology. It's different. I know a lot about theologies. Anyway,
Stopping right here is to say that perfection you are a thing, and I am currently in a house perfection year. It's based on your obviously when you were born, but also it is quite eye-opening. Say if you look it up, you'll see that they happen at different ages. For like everyone has them at 7. Everyone has them. The eighth house perfection year, for example, happens at 7, at 19, so on and so forth, 31. But when you are having them, the things that happen are sudden gains or losses, transformations, death, because the eighth house is what represents resurrection, taboo, sex, even all things that are associated with the eighth house. And so when you're in your eighth house perfection year, such myself, you're going to have to expect much transformation and you know, there are intense connotations. It's a very intense year. It makes you aware of mortality, karma, development. It can be something that is associated with the occult or with affairs, clandestine and otherwise. And so even if you're not really into astrology, it's cool when you can look at this kind of stuff and see how it applies to where you are and what you can look forward to. He said shopping for clothes. Yeah, I can't wait to do that myself. I'm kind of not wanting to do it, but also kind of like I need to do it because I should be saving right now, and the year is like the worst to try to save money for me anyway. But let's finish this video up.
When I turned 38, it was my third house perfection year, which means it was all about how I communicated and expressed myself. Absolutely. That was my 38th year. 39 was 4. So it's about grounding yourself. It's about motherhood. I found out that year that I couldn't have a baby. It's about home. I moved and reestablished my home vibe. 40 is about fun, sex, romance. It's the 5th house year. And I have a friend who met the love of her life when she turned 40. She became a mom at 42. And so I, at a certain point of hustling back and forth with this person, started waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. I was just like, oh, it was the 5th house year. Oh, I'm 40 and this is still happening. Like, it was bothering me down to my roots that this was the person that was taking up space in this year of my life. And what made it even worse was that was how I felt. I was not honoring my feelings if I didn't see this all the way till the end. And I tried to jump on dating apps. I wouldn't get no responses. Typical. I tried to, just not do anything at all and just see what happens. And I met someone and he was.
Want to break into cybersecurity but don't have experience? The Google Cybersecurity Certificate uses real-world scenarios to teach you technical skills.
Very interesting. And when I say very interesting, I mean, like, he wanted to live in his underground bunker that he was building on his land. And he didn't believe in like shaving, and that sucks. So that is the end of this story. If you had a great year in your love life, good for you. If you had a bad year, I hope it wasn't worse than mine, which was just a succession of emails back and forth between me and text messages back and forth between me and a man that I literally only met once in person. And we stressed each other out about it for a year. Oh, this is what I want to say too. I have always been the kind of person that never feels the need to make a sweeping declaration about. I think I did once. I made a video and I talked about how I broke my vow of celibacy and I regret it. No, I don't. I'm not the kind of person that thinks that you need to be celibate for your whole life. If you want to have sex, have sex. If you don't, you don't. And I would always leave space open for me to have a vacation fling, woo! Because for some reason, whenever I live at home, everything's very dry. This period of my life, this is the driest anything has ever been. And I liked that at first because I was recovering from my 3 years of living in Sausage Party, Houston, Texas. But now I really am like, ooh, I don't think I'll ever meet anybody again. I don't know. How do I do it? But I know what I won't be doing. I will never have another vacation fling. This is a cautionary tale, 100%. I don't ever want to go through nothing like this again. I didn't even know if something like this was possible. I didn't even know, but I should have guessed because that's another part of my life. It feels like my life is always asking, how much stupider can it get between you and your romantic interests? Let's turn it up to 11. Let's see. And so we saw a positive thing, though. One positive thing before I go, he didn't do holidays because of how he was raised. Former Jehovah's Witness, I think. And so he didn't do holidays and he didn't do birthdays. And I remember when we were first talking on the phone after we first met, I was literally sitting in a room with 4 Christmas trees. In my living room, I had 4 Christmas trees. And he was like, yeah, my ex, man, used to want me to get on a Christmas card. I'm not getting on a Christmas card. I don't do holidays. I don't do birthdays either. I was like, ooh, I don't want, I actually, we got off the phone and I went outside and cried because I knew I felt so attached to him and so connected to him. And I was like, what will life look like for me with a man that won't pose for a picture for a holiday card? Y'all see me on Instagram, posting my dogs, posting myself. Like, you guys know I love the holidays. What would it look like? And I've never met a man who actually will celebrate them with me. I always meet the ones who are like, Valentine's is made up. Who cares about the yelling at me on my birthday and shit? Like, it's wild. So I was like, you don't even do, at least these fools have done Christmas in the past. You don't even do Christmas, bro? Listen, it is what it is, but I'm not looking forward to having to navigate this with you. And now I don't have to worry about it. Bring on the holidays that I will be single for the 40th year in a row. Okay, that is the end of this story.
All right, so there we had it. Thank you for listening to CPOR. I just want to kind of let her finish up. I cut up a little bit of the end towards the end because she started talking about a different guy, but the gist of it is what really prompted me to be so open and about what's been going on in 2024, and how transformative of a year it's been for me. I look forward to the new year and new content and coming to you guys with some fresh ideas. But also, I'm really getting a kick out of doing a morning commute with you guys. So I'll be doing that again next week. And yeah, see you guys soon. If you have questions, drop comments and let me know. I would love to have some dialogue about some of the things that I've talked about in this video. All right. So thank you for taking the time to watch that and dissect it with me. I'm so sorry about the editing again, and boring. But yeah, the big takeaway I want you guys to walk away from this live stream understanding is that 2024 has been a supremely transformative year for me. I I felt compelled to be vulnerable and talk about that a little bit more on YouTube. When I saw Steph Code talk about soul ties, the cancel flights, and the lusty emails, it made me feel like, hey, I should probably peel back a layer and show you guys what I've been up against, because I think you haven't really, you have not seen the fullness of my being. I have not been able to pour into YouTube the way I really would like to and hope to next year. But the reason for that is, like I said earlier, having to understand that my life is taking on different meaning and shape, and that in this time it is going to be uncomfortable. It's very necessary. I've lost my best friend that I made in seventh grade. I decided to that friendship because it was no longer serving me. I'm happy about the decision, but it did not come without a sense of loss and mourning. I lost independence by having to move back to New Jersey, not just the move part of it, but to move back in with my mother, and depend on her to make sure that I have a roof over my head and food in my stomach. Lost my independence as far as not having employment for most this year. Lost my dream of making things work in tech, even though I everything I possibly could at staying in and thriving in Texas. Losing the notion of being loved by someone that I used to be loved by because I'm realizing that he has moved on. I'm having to deal with that being in my face, that all of those things, coupled with having to leave behind some tangible items that I really want to keep, all happened for me this year. And again, it's just been a transformative year. I don't want to be like a lot of women who have become resentful and hardened because of just regular life experiences and not being able to place blame on someone. I'm taking all of the blame and accountability for where I currently sit, but I'm hopeful for my future looking very different than it has as this year. And a lot of that is, I think, due to being made to sit down and sit with it and acknowledge, not being able to distract myself with others, not being able to suppress the bigness, the fullness of those emotions. So stay tuned for the bounce, the inevitable bounce. This will most likely be my last live stream of the year. So happy December. And I just have a couple more things I want to get to. Oh, goodness. Dr. Dunbar, he hit the Cash App, y'all. Thank you so much, Dr. D. I appreciate that. This is for the trust. Thank you. Thank you for everybody hitting the like and just being here. Shout out to Third War Colombian in the building. He said happy holiday. Hope all is well with you. Everything is as well as going to be. I'm one thing that won't change about me is that I'm supremely optimistic. So no matter what goes on, I'm always going to see things for what they are, but also their potential, and think that tomorrow is another to get it right. I do not some videos from Instagram I want to share you, but one of them, the other one isn't. We start with the unfunny one. I think that I know that I do not be like this. Okay.
Biggest turn off is just a man who wants to split bills of any nature. My just gets really like so dry that I develop thrush. Like I feel itchy and I just want to put a rake inside myself and just get all the flakes of itchiness out, because how could you be so ungentleman? You want to me, but you don't even want to make me feel good. Gross. Ugh, boo. Ick. You've deducted yourself 50 points on site. No license. Taken away. Gone. Bye. Nothing to say to you anymore. I mean, my biggest...
I mean, I don't splitting bills is horrible. I'm here for splitting bills. I'm here for splitting bills. Life is tough. The economy is rough. Let's split some bills. And if we could do it while I'm sitting on the couch under your arm, that would be preferable. All right. Yeah, I want to be bitter Betsy. I'm not ran through. I'm not trying to get ran through. But at the same time, the girl gives companionship. So now she's resorted to doing things like this. Okay. It'd be like that sometimes. I'm not even mad at her. And Snickers are delicious. Although, if I had to choose a chocolate bar, that would be my favorite. It's chunky. Do y'all know what chunky is? Let me pull it up. Donate to the Chunky Fund. Donate to the Chunky Fund. Because that's what I like right there. I like chunky bars. I like a raisin and a peanut in my chocolate. It's delicious. It's delicious. Roast peanuts, raisins, and milk chocolate. Can you go wrong? Only thing is, sometimes I wish there's more peanuts in it. But yeah. Donate to the Nestle Chunk Fund. My Cash App is below. Yeah, I mean, I like Snickers too, Aria. I like Snickers too. But chunky. See, I'm not so partial to caramel, and so that's why I prefer chunky over a Snickers. You feel me? So anyway, thank you very much for coming through and listening to me today. I am going to go ahead and end my stream with what I love to always wish you guys, which is peace, ease, and whatever you please. Burning in tofu food too. The Dunbar, you're out of control. You're out of control. This is not sanctioned here. We are not neither one of those. We are not supporting Burger King or tofu. None of them. No sir. But I'm wishing you peace and whatever you please. I appreciate you for coming through. And I'll see you again soon.